The December night was bitter cold as Ethan Marshall left his office building, adjusting his expensive overcoat against the freezing wind. At 33, he built Marshall Consulting into one of the city's premier firms, working late most nights, including Christmas Eve. The street was nearly empty, most people home with their families. Ethan's penthouse apartment waited for him, quiet and perfectly decorated by his housekeeper, a place to sleep before returning to work tomorrow despite the holiday. He was walking toward his car when he noticed them. A young woman, probably mid-20s, sat on the steps of a closed building. She wore a tan jacket too thin for the weather, her blonde hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. Beside her sat a little boy, maybe 3 or 4, in a red coat and green knit hat, clutching a worn teddy bear. Their belongings were stuffed into a few bags around them. Ethan's first instinct was to keep walking. The city had shelters, social services, not his problem. But the little boy looked directly at him with wide, hopeful eyes. "Excuse me, mister," the boy called out in a small voice. Ethan stopped despite himself. The young woman put a protective hand on the child's shoulder, clearly wary. "Tommy, don't bother people," she said quietly. "But Mama, he looks important. Maybe he can help." Ethan walked over, curiosity overriding his usual boundaries. "Help with what?" The boy pointed at the Christmas lights visible down the street. "Can you tell Santa we moved, so he knows where to find us?" The innocence of the question hit Ethan like a punch. This child, sitting on cold steps on Christmas Eve with his mother and their belongings, was worried about Santa knowing their address. The young woman's face flushed with embarrassment. "I'm sorry. We'll go. We're not bothering anyone. We were just resting." "Where are you going?" Ethan heard himself ask. "The shelter on 5th Street. We're walking there. It's about 2 miles. She stood, gathering their bags. "Come on, Tommy, let's go." "In this cold? With a child?" "We'll be fine. Thank you for your concern." Her pride was evident despite her circumstances. Something in Ethan cracked. Maybe it was the holiday. Maybe it was the little boy's question about Santa. Maybe it was his own loneliness finally catching up with him. "My car is right there," he said, pointing to his sedan. "Let me drive you to the shelter." The woman looked suspicious. "That's not necessary. It's Christmas Eve and it's freezing. You have a child. Please, let me help." She studied his face, clearly weighing the risk against her son's safety. Finally, she nodded. "Okay, thank you." In the car, Ethan turned up the heat while the woman and boy settled in the back seat. Tommy immediately pressed his face to the window, fascinated by the car's interior. "I'm Ethan," he said, meeting the woman's eyes in the rearview mirror. "Chloe, this is my son, Tommy." "Hi," Tommy said cheerfully. "Your car is really nice. Does it fly?" Despite everything, Ethan smiled. "Not yet. Maybe in the future." As he drove, the story emerged in pieces. Chloe had been working 2 jobs to afford their apartment, but an unexpected medical bill for Tommy's ear infection had wiped out her savings. She'd missed rent, been evicted that morning. The shelter was temporary until she could save enough for a new place. "What do you do for work?" Ethan asked. "I clean offices at night and work at a coffee shop during the day. Tommy stays with my neighbor when I'm working, but she's visiting family for the holidays, so I had to take today off." Chloe's voice was steady but tired. "I'll figure it out. I always do." Tommy piped up from the back seat. "Mama works really hard. She's the best mama in the whole world." Chloe's eyes filled with tears. She blinked away quickly. "Thank you, baby." Ethan felt something shift in his chest. This woman, struggling to survive, still had her son's complete faith and love. Ethan had everything money could buy and came home to emptiness every night. They arrived at the shelter to find a line of people outside waiting for beds. A volunteer stood at the door, looking apologetic. "I'm sorry," she told Chloe. "We're at capacity. We can try the shelter across town, but they were also full last I checked." Chloe's face fell, but her voice stayed strong. "It's okay. We'll find something." "Thank you, Mama." "Where are we going to sleep?" Tommy asked, his small voice worried. Ethan made a decision that defied all his usual caution. "Come with me." "What?" Chloe looked at him with alarm. Have a 3-bedroom penthouse. It's just me. You and Tommy can stay there tonight at least. Tomorrow, we'll figure out something more permanent. I can't accept that. I don't even know you. I know. This is crazy. But it's Christmas Eve. You have nowhere to go. And I have more space than I need. No expectations. No strings. Just a warm place to sleep. Chloe looked at her son, shivering despite the car's warmth, and made the hardest decision. Okay, just for tonight. Thank you. Ethan's penthouse was like stepping into another world. Floor-to-ceiling windows, modern furniture, more luxury than Chloe had seen in her life. Tommy's eyes went wide. Wow, the boy whispered. Is this your house? It is. Are you hungry? I can order food. Over pizza, which Ethan had delivered. They talked more. Chloe told him about studying for her associate's degree online when she had time, about wanting to give Tommy a better life, about the constant struggle of never quite making enough despite working constantly. Ethan found himself sharing things he rarely told anyone, about building his company from nothing, about the loneliness of success, about working on Christmas Eve because he had nothing better to do. That's sad, Tommy said with a child's blunt honesty. Everyone should have people on Christmas. After Tommy fell asleep in one of the guest rooms, Chloe and Ethan sat in the living room, drinking coffee. I can't thank you enough for this, Chloe said. Tomorrow I'll start calling around for options. What if I had a different idea? Ethan said, carefully. My company is looking for an office manager. It's a real position with benefits, regular hours, decent pay. You'd be qualified with some training. Then, you don't have to offer me charity. It's not charity. I saw your resume when you mentioned your background. You have experience in administration, customer service. You're clearly organized if you're managing 2 jobs and online classes. I need someone and you need stability. It's mutually beneficial. Chloe looked at him with uncertainty mixed with hope. Why are you doing this? Honestly, because your son asked me to tell Santa you moved. Because you're working yourself to exhaustion, trying to provide for him. Because it's Christmas, and I'm tired of being alone and selfish. Ethan paused. And because I think you're exactly the kind of person I should have working with me. Chloe started the job in January. Ethan covered her first month's rent on a modest apartment, which she insisted on paying back over time. She proved to be exceptional at her work, organizing his chaotic schedule, handling clients with grace, improving office efficiency, but more than that, Chloe and Tommy brought life into Ethan's world. He found himself leaving work at reasonable hours to have dinner with them. Tommy taught him to play imagination games. Chloe reminded him that success meant nothing without connection. 6 months later, what had started as a Christmas Eve rescue had become something more. Ethan realized he was in love, not just with Chloe, but with the family they'd accidentally become. 2 years after that Christmas night, Ethan and Chloe were married in a simple ceremony with Tommy as ring-bearer. The boy who asked about Santa had gotten something better than presents. He'd gotten a family, and Ethan, who'd spent years building an empire, but living in emptiness, had learned that the most valuable things in life often arrive when you stop long enough to help someone in need. If this story warmed your heart, like, share, and subscribe for more tales of unexpected family. Comment about kindness that changed everything.